The J. Michael Show.
Welcome to another edition of the J. Michael Show. Our guest today is Cathryn Hartt. We're going to get to her in a moment, but first let me remind you, please subscribe to the show. Subscribe, like, comment, let us know what you're thinking about the show. We really appreciate that, and those subscriptions go a long way, so thank you very much. Our guest today is Cathryn Hartt. She is a acting coach in Dallas. And, well, say hi to Cathryn and let's get going.
Hello. I will rephrase that. I like to torture people. So that's what I'm known for. That's kind of what I do as an acting coach. It's like being a mom. Like, you love them and you do all the wonderful things, and then sometimes you need some tough love and you scare the heck out of them. But on the other side of that, everyone says, it feels like freedom. Oh my gosh,
Well, teaching acting must be kind of difficult. I mean, what's the first question that you're asked about, what do I need to do to be an actor?
Oh, well, it depends on, I get all sorts of different people. Mm-hmm. I get people that have been doing this for a long time. I get people who wanted to do it and they stopped when they were kids because they got practical and they had to have a family. And you'll see I have 2 standard poodles, and you'll see them wandering around in the back. This one needs to be petted right now. And he will eventually end up in that chair back there probably. But they are... some people come to me and say, am I too old for this? Mm-hmm. And my answer to that is always, oh, heck no, you're never too old for anything unless you're in the box already. And then maybe you can get reincarnated and come back again. But it's really, you're never too old to do something that's in your heart to do. I mean, never. And if you don't do it, you'll, on your deathbed, you won't remember all the stuff you won. You remember that you never did that thing that you really love to do. And so I get a lot of those kind of people. I get little kids. I have people, all the way from 4 all the way up to, 100. And so there is no one question I get from anybody. Mm-hmm. They're here for different reasons. Sometimes I've worked with politicians. I've worked with dancers. I've worked with jugglers. I've worked with preachers, teachers. I used to go over to UTD once a year or twice a year and help to train their new student teachers that were going to go out into the fields and help them to become themselves and have more fun and be more entertaining. So, there is no what's that first question for anybody.
Yeah. Well, I think that the most difficult thing for me would be remembering lines, memorizing it, because I'm so used to, I'm a narrator, and I'm so used to reading copy, I always have it right there in front of me, that I'm not sure I could actually do that. What's the trick to that?
Well, it actually, memorizing isn't as hard as a lot of people make it out to be. In fact, I have one student right now who swears he could never memorize anything. And for a year and a half, I was saying, stop saying that to yourself. Of course you can memorize. So here's the first trick. Stop saying it's hard to memorize, because whatever you tell your brain is exactly what it's going to be. If you can't do something and someone double dog dares you to do it and you really can't do it, I bet you do it and you do it really great just because you wanted to prove them wrong.
Right.
So a lot of it is like my determination. But really, basically, as an actor, we're really all about truth. We're not up there faking it. You're as a good actor, you're trying to create truth, and especially on camera. I mean, the camera sees right up your nose, and so you have to really go inside of yourself. And we make a lot of choices. Like, I'm a Juilliard trained classical actress. Mm-hmm. I make a lot of choices. And I'm a perfectionist, so I am all about that. And I bet you'll understand this. And you'll understand this if you do anything in your life like music or basketball or anything else. You learn the technique not to look like you can dribble a basketball, but so that when you go out to play basketball next time, you don't think about how you learn to dribble because you love playing basketball but you're really a lot better at dribbling now than you did before. So the same thing when you're memorizing lines. You want to look at it not like these are lines. They're not lines. You're in the middle of actually doing something. I am there. I'm in this space. I really am seeing you and talking to you. And while we're doing real things, and just, give yourself stuff to do. Oh, and then, Jay, what we were talking about the other day? So that's the line. So I'm not going to say a line to you. I am living with you. I'm having a conversation. And the faster when you first read a script, if you don't read it to see how many lines I have or what do I do, you read it for entertainment, like you would read a good book. And you get lost in it and you have fun and you'll imagine and feel like you're really there. So a lot of choices already been made for that scene because you let go and let your imagination that God gave you from the get-go, and you just imagine and you got lost in it. So now I already feel like it means something to me. So, and also, like if I said, Jay, can you take this pen? And your line is, you really want me to take that pen? Okay, so now if I just say that to you, Jay, can you take this pen? And then you say,
yes, I can take that pen.
You say, you really want me to take that pen?
You really want me to take that pen?
Okay. Now, it would help enormously, however, if I actually had the pen for you so you could see it.
Right.
So I go, Jay, wait, my dog's moving. So he's in the scene too. So, hey, Jay, can you take this pen?
You really want me to take that pen?
8+.
Yeah.
See, it's a lot easier if you stop thinking about I'm saying a line and you start having fun creating reality. And it makes sense if you have props or if you, like if I'm saying, oh, my back hurts, I might have trouble with that line. But if I just sat down in this chair, my back hurts. And also throw away the lines. Notice I didn't say, oh, my back hurts. I said, my back hurts. Okay. So, because not everything you say is equally important. And I get that with a lot of beginners too. Like I must say the words. Well, that's not how you talk in real life. Like if I'm saying, Jay, the guy I was talking about the other day, the guy that was really hot that I liked a lot. Okay. So how about if I say, Jay, do you remember the guy I was talking about the other day? Yeah.
I remember it.
Yeah, the guy that was really hot. That one, okay.
Yeah, well, he was hot to you.
He was really hot.
Okay.
It's like we're really playing. We don't feel like we're acting lines at each other. And we are there for each other. That is something that most people that I work with, it's one of the things I kick butt about the most. And I promise, Jay, I am not going to curse on your lovely show, but I have a tendency to do that sometimes. But I was married to my second husband, so I have earned the right to do that. So I will not say the way I say it in class sometimes, not when I have children. But I have certain sayings that really stick in your head sometimes. Some of them will probably be put on my tombstone, and it will make people go like, why are you saying this to me? At any rate, when you're acting, you're not acting by yourself.
Right.
You should be generous. Although I know many actors who are egotistical jerks. But when I work with actors, I train you not to be an egotistical jerk. And actually, that's more important to me than winning an Academy Award because you will hate yourself. I want you to be fulfilled and happy. And if you're doing it for that reason, something beautiful will come from deep inside of your soul. So I am a generous actor. So I'm not thinking, how do I make myself look better? I want to make you look better.
Right.
Now, I'll tell you a little secret, though. When I'm trying to make you look better, That's when I look good. So, because I'm doing natural little things. The way I describe it is if you're doing good acting on camera, especially, it looks like you're doing nothing, but 1,000 little nuances happen. You don't want to look like, oh, hey, I'm having reactions. Haha, I am not in my body right now. No, I'm in my body. I can see, I can smell, I can hear. I'm actually doing all those things. I am perceiving with my actual human body.
Right.
If I'm in human form right now, so you never know.
So
Anyway,
okay, so like you have a director that is very hard line. He wants you to just read the lines, don't ad lib any. Does that
yeah,
make it more difficult or easier or what?
no, no. And by the way, your director is always right
Hmm.
while you're on the set. But no, directors work in different ways, and some directors are like you said the instead of a, and that's fine because that's one way to work. And yes, as an actor, I should try to say all of my words exactly right because some writer, hopefully a wonderful one, oftentimes it's not, but hopefully it is a good writer wrote these beautiful words for you and it's their creation and my job is to fulfill what the writer had in mind and what the director wants for his production. It's not my production, it's our production. So I never have a problem with that. And so but and then some directors will go like, yeah, just the words are just kind of the gist of it, like make it your own. But let me tell you how you can do that by saying all the right words. So let's say I always feel like I'm improvising when I'm acting, even though I am, I'm saying exactly, I'm doing the directions that the director gave me, blah, 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 all that good stuff. But I am actually thinking like the character. So as an actor, one of the first things I train people to do is to get out of your head. Thinking will kill you as a performer. This is true for any performer. Like if you see someone, doing a beautiful dance or something like that, or playing music, they are not thinking of notes.
Right.
Because if they're still thinking of notes, it sounds like they're playing notes to you. It does not sound like music that takes you away. It's when you've learned the notes so well that you can stop thinking about them and you can feel the music. It becomes music then. It's the same thing with acting. So if I am feeling what's really going on in the scene, and I have done I ask a lot of questions before I get up. If you're in one of my on-camera classes, which is my ongoing scene class, I'll spend the first 45 minutes of a 2-hour class easily, maybe an hour of it, asking questions and like, well, what did they did? And why, well, what happened there? What's that relation? When did you guys meet? Because then it becomes something inside of you that's real. It's much easier to I'm, as we say, being organic. Right. And so with the director, so when I have my lines, and let's say my character comes in and says, and the writer has written down for me to say, well, howdy, Jay. And I'm going like, well, my character wouldn't talk like that.
Right.
Okay. Now, there's a possibility that if I'm the star, and I really think it goes against the grain, I might discuss that with the director and say, what do you think? And the director would go ask the writer and would see. But you don't usually have to do that. What I find is that it tests me to go someplace I would not have gone. So it's going to be much more interesting. It'll give me another layer. So if instead my character is, I'm thinking like, oh, so we call it subtexting. You're thinking like your character, not like me, the actress. I'm thinking like the character. So if I'm thinking, oh, it's Jay and he's got his little microphone, his cowboy hat on. Okay, well, howdy, Jay.
Yeah.
So now I'm not going to say all that stuff out loud. I'm going to think it though. Oh, hey. Howdy, Jay.
Right. You're responding to the other person.
But I can make my very uptight, perfect person who would never say howdy to anyone. I'm assessing what's in front of me. And as the character, I can always make it work. Just like in real life, you can always, this is one of the things I pray that I teach people, because I do believe that, your life influences the things you learn to set you free, what you learn spiritually or what you learn emotionally sets you free to do other things as an actor. And as an actor, I constantly, this is why I also do a lot of life coaching. I'm peeling back some of the old dogmas that block you, that you don't even know that it blocked you, that won't let you go or feel something. And so I need to peel that back as an acting coach. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, I can go there. So you can do anything. That is the main thing I want my students, especially my young students, to know, that I never let anyone walk out of one of my classes thinking they failed.
Right.
And I am notorious for going as long as I need to go. And I will go, I'll say one more time. And I'm always tweaking it. Let me push another button. Let's do this. Ooh, let me distract you. And let's run around or something. There's a million different things. But I'm syncing up with you. I am feeling what's going on. Why are you stuck? And I'm going to play with that with all the stuff I've learned having done this for really a long time. I don't know, like really a long time, Jay, over 60 years. Yeah. And I started as a kid, a very young kid. But that feeling of just syncing up with what you're doing and what you're saying, where you're going, and all of a sudden it just kind of pours out of you. But I always had people that believed in me. It's one of the reasons I do this. My sister and I both had extraordinary mentors. We grew up at Theater 3 in Dallas, Texas. It used to be downtown even before we went to the Quadrangle. And that was the only game in town for the entire Southwest. So anyone from New York, anywhere, it was the most creative place I have ever been in my life. And my mentors, thank you, God, for blessing me. If I could give that kind of confidence, belief, love to my students that was given to me, if I could give that much of what was given to me, I would. So when I work with you, I don't let you ever finish in a space where I know you feel like I didn't do it, or everyone else did it but me, or that means because I just trained you that you can't do it. Now you're going to go home and go I can't do it.
Right.
So I will keep working with you until we get to that place, and you will always be able to do it. Always. I've been doing this a long time. You will always be able to do it if you don't stop. And that's where we get. So that is my main thing. I want you to believe in yourself, because if you think you can do it, you can do, when you walk out my door, you can do anything else in your life, and that's important to me.
Yeah.
So,
okay. Just the differences between theatrical acting on stage and in front of a camera. Are there differences, and what do you teach with that?
There are differences. First, let me just say the difference between theater and film basically is we make all the same choices. I build a character the exact same way. I must be real. I play off the other person. We call it staying in the moment. All the stuff, the basics of acting, that's all the same. It's just the medium. So if I'm on stage, I'm playing to the balcony. So I can't go back too far because one of my dogs is sleeping there. So I am playing, it's going to be bigger and louder. And when I get mad, I want to get mad fast and loud. However, when I'm on camera, it's closer.
Right.
So what's more effective on camera is if I hold it in like a pressure cooker. If I'm really mad at you, I don't want you to think I'm mad at you until I freaking tell you. So it's like a pressure cooker. So it's inside.
Yeah.
Now, when I teach people, now also, let's say, and I did a lot of theater. So let's say I'm doing the same play in a small shadow box kind of theater with 99 seats.
Mm-hmm.
And I do the same play in a giant outdoor arena with 2,500 seats. I will play that play differently.
Right.
Because these people are right on top of me. It's very intimate. And that I have to make sure that they see everything. So the stage. And same thing if I'm doing camera acting. Am I doing Disney? Am I doing a commercial? What kind of commercial? Is it real naturalistic commercial? Or do we make a lot of cute faces?
Mm-hmm.
Am I doing big comedy, or am I doing like real sit back and maybe you won't get this, only the smartest people will? Is it very edgy naturalistic film, or is it a little bit more like, we just have a style we're going for here? And so it's really, you have to be aware of the medium, no matter if it's stage or film, or what exactly is needed to happen here. But what I usually tell people for film is there's three basic shots in film.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a close-up, which is here,
Mm-hmm.
or extreme close-up. Wow, then you really see all my wrinkles, so don't do that. And then we have a medium shot, which is your waist or hips, and that's the most common shot. And then I can't get it past my dog, but if I could go all the way to where that chair is, that would be a long shot.
Mm-hmm.
You get my whole body. So if I'm in a long shot, hey, Jay, hi, it's more like I'm on stage.
Right.
Because you're thinking about how far away is the audience from me. But if I'm in a medium shot, that's the most natural. That's kind of like we're just right here. And then when I'm in close-up, it's like no one else is around but us.
Right.
So you have to know the different shots you're playing and stuff like that. And so, but it's all fun. And all of it is, insanity with great artistic control. That's basically what we do.
Well, it looks like you would be great in comedies. Do you prefer a comedy or a drama?
I kind of like everything. I've done everything. I've done Shakespeare, dinner theater, performance art on out on the streets, and everything in between. But I love comedy. And so I do work with people a lot on comedy. Mm-hmm. In fact, I don't do this much anymore because I don't have time to, but I used to. Sometimes people would ask me to come in and watch their shows and tell them why they're not getting their laughs. Right. And I'll give you a little tip. If anyone out there is an actor who wants to know, there's two things I almost always say to people when they're not getting their laughs. And they're good actors and they already know what they're doing. And then going, number one, you didn't make your funny face towards the audience. So you went, what? Instead of, what? Okay, yeah. So you got to make your funny face towards the audience. Cheat out. We call that cheating out. And the other thing is you were fine, but the jerk on the other side of the stage was moving during the setup and he killed all your timing. Uh-huh. So let's talk to the director about talking to that guy. And so, because comedy is very fragile. Like drama, you have to be real. You have to stay in the moment. You really play off of it. And everything is real and right there. And comedy, everything is real. You're not trying to be funny, because that's like the guy who tries to tell a joke and you wish he'd stop doing that because he's not funny. Uh-huh. You can't try to be funny. You have to be so real that we think you're that stupid. That's what's funny. Yeah. So I have to be doing comedy. I have to be very, very real, but have my timing too.
Right.
So I have to have all my timing and stuff too. So comedy to me, and for most people, is the hardest thing to do. Like I'll tell people, a lot in class. Let's get all this natural stuff. But I throw them a lot of stuff. I throw them comedy. I throw them being a bad guy, because that takes a certain kind of energy that most people can't do. And I always say, especially to my girls, hey, listen, a pretty girl in Hollywood is a dime a dozen. But a pretty girl, they can play a good girl, bad girl, or that can do comedy. You're going to get a job, because not that many people can do comedy or good comedy, and not that many people can be good bad guys. So, if I always try to make sure my guys can do, my men and women can do all and the kids can do all that stuff. Because, hey, for my kids, it's like, can you be the kid in Sixth Sense? That child, Haley was just like amazing. He was so deep. And so let's do that kind of energy, because you could book a job with that, because not that many kids can do that.
Uh-huh.
So anyway, mainly, we have fun. And if you aren't having fun doing this, then you should do something else.
Right.
Because you have to you can just act for fun, and lots of people do, and do community theater and stuff. That's wonderful. Or I have some people that just love to take classes, and they don't really want to go out and get jobs. They just love the class. It's so freeing and fun, and they learn so many other things that they use in other parts of their lives, how to present at their office and stuff. And, but, if you want to do this for a living, you have to have the passion inside of you that loves it so much that you will go through all the stuff you hate doing too, to do it. And you'll stay up all night and, all that kind of stuff. And people do ask me one question a lot. They ask me, what do I look for when I'm looking for a student? Do I need to audition for you? And I'm going like, no. Why would I have you audition for me if you can already do it? Why would you need me? Although you can always be better, honestly. You never stop being better. And most really good actors out in LA have personal coaches that work with them on everything, because it's like a good basketball player or baseball player. If you're really good, you're really great because you keep putting a little bit edgy or something on it. You keep the things going. So what I look for people, I do not look for talent, because I can see people that you might go like, well, look at their talent. And I don't see that. I see what's inside of you. I just tune into you, and I see, do you love to evolve?
Yeah.
That's all I look for. Do you love to evolve? If you love to grow, to change, to try it a different way, to get better, and you never, never stop wanting to, like, one more step, or can we try this? Anything you want in your life, you're going to get, but especially as a creative person, because that thrill, the curiosity, the desire, not the neediness. I do not, this business will encourage you to be needy and greedy. No, I will kick your butt if I see that happening. I am very loving, very funny, and very honest. And I will tell you right there in your face, like, you're being a really jerk. Yeah, well, sometimes I actually do say you suck, but I don't ever say that unless I'm going to show you something right after that where you really look good. I want you to understand the difference. Like, see, this is where you suck, and that's where we stopped watching, and we stopped thinking that you were acting. We got lost in it and watched you. We didn't know that it was an acting class scene anymore. We were just having so much fun. Okay, now do you want to suck or do you want to have fun? It's so easy to make the choice.
Do you also teach the audition process of how to get a role?
Oh, sure. Oh, sure. And I do a lot of audition tapes, and I work in person and online, and I do auditions online too, because I have people that go all over the world, and they're like, I guarantee you, as soon as you leave LA or Dallas or wherever you're based, and you're going someplace wonderful, your agent will call and say, there's a really important audition that has to be in tomorrow morning. And so I will get those calls from, I've done audition remotes with people in South Korea, in Paris, in London, and I had one lady that we didn't do an audition tape, but she's in one of my remote classes, and she never misses a class. And it doesn't matter where in the world she is. She was based in Afghanistan while we were still there. So she's on a military base. And she comes in one day, and I'm starting the class, and she's like, Cathryn, I'm sorry, I can't come to class right now. And I said, okay. And she said, we have incoming. I said, get out of here. What are you doing? She said, I didn't want you to think I was just missing class. I'm like, that is a devoted student. I would not have faulted you for running down into the bomb shelter or wherever you go there. At any rate, but, you just, when you're doing an audition, there's certain things, and I work with people on auditions all the time. In my on-camera class, the last 2 classes of every 6 weeks, I do a commercial audition and a film audition. The film audition, I will do it with you as if I'm really doing the audition. That also gives me a chance to be a reader, and I will punch your buttons, and you will have to be real with me. You will not get to act like you're saying your lines in a really good way. I will mess with your head, and you will have to really be looking at me. And I will cause all these natural little things to happen. Because what's beautiful on camera is not, ooh, I did a reaction. It's that something real happened. That's the magic. And so we don't ever do it exactly the same way every time on camera. Mix it up. I mean, it looks the same to the audience, but the timing, every moment is different. So I teach people to follow the moment. Please don't go like, I'm in front of a blank wall and the camera's going and someone says, go. Okay, well, no. So now here's a couple of tricks I use for a lot of stuff, but you should always give yourself something to do. So at the very beginning, you should win your audition before you open your mouth.
Right.
Because if I see you and you just start talking like that, I'm not listening to you.
Yeah.
It's like too much. Your brain actually needs a moment to register what they're seeing on camera and go, oh, but also a casting director is looking at this and they want to see the character. So you need to look more like what the character would be doing. Yeah. So and I go like, what are you in the middle of doing? What just happened? And you look at the scene. Sometimes it doesn't tell you, but so you have to make it up. But sometimes it does. And I would just be like, she just found out that her dad died. Oh, okay. So so say my first line is, dad died. Okay. Well, all right. You tell me if this is the audition you see, and I'm there and I say, dad died. Okay, that's fine. But what if I'm like this when you start?
Right.
Okay, dad died. Right.
Right.
So now it's like it's real.
You've made it a scene. You've turned it into a scene.
I'm in the middle of something. That you don't start acting when the camera comes on. I'm in the middle of something. If your scene starts where you are being chased by dinosaurs, I will have you run around the room so you are out of breath. And you're pumped up and your blood is going. Because as an actor, I want the real thing. So when I have people like if you're supposed to be the bad guy and you're screaming at the guy at the beginning, I don't just have you start going like, yeah, I'm going to get you. No. I know you can sort of act that. I'm going to get you. Oh, my dog's coming in to make sure I'm okay. Because we want to capture the real thing. Oh, actually, no. You should go like, that's the way my mom always sounds. I'm coming in here to take a little nap. So you have to get into the state of being that your character really is. We do not fake this. And give yourself something to do. Now, in a audition scene, oftentimes we pantomime, but these days, honestly, they're fine with a lot of stuff. Like, oh, you know what John says? Never mind. Yeah. Instead of, oh, you know what John says? Oh well, never mind. Right. See, I'm going to give, and even if I pantomime it, I'm giving myself stuff to do. So I want to be in the middle of something because otherwise, especially on an audition, you're going to be like, okay, I'm getting out of my head. I'm getting loose. Okay, I'm ready. And action. I see this all the time. And then you get I got out of my body. See, I'm in my body right now. My legs are doing stuff. You don't see them, but everything in my body is just a real body. And then the camera starts. I'm going to start my acting body now. No, you want to trick yourself into not starting to feel like you're acting.
Right.
That's good acting. And then I have a couple of sayings I say with auditioning. One of them I can't actually say on your program because it does have some a major cuss word in it. But just understand that there are fingers involved on my hands, only one on each. And I hold them up and I say, F them all, I'm just going to amuse myself.
Right.
Because I want you to really, what you're saying is, I don't care if they like me. You can't care if they like you. Before you go in, yes, I am a perfectionist. I want to be great. I want to be the greatest. I want to. But when I'm going to do it, I don't care. I love to act. Someone has to watch me. Ooh. And also, I have a saying that I've always used my whole life, and some of my auditions will reflect this. I would rather that they remember me as being the worst person they ever saw than they forget that they saw me.
Right.
I never want to blend in. So you always want a little hook, either for your character or something in the scene. Like maybe I'm like, I understand what you're saying. You just said you love me. I know. I understand. Well, you're true. So I'm going to give myself a little hook, something that makes it special. They didn't tell me I wasn't eating. And I'm not just going to go and do anything, but what I feel like is real, I'm going to do that. You have to trust your gut. So I work a lot helping you to feel what your guts are. This will mess with you. This will really mess with you. But your guts are in your tummy and you know what's right and wrong. And you must trust them no matter what you do. When I got into Juilliard, I was very young, and I was going to do my audition, and John Houseman, who was a very proper, he won an Academy Award, and he was Orson Welles' partner, and a very proper. I would audition for who I love and call Big John, and he called me Tex. All right. And he tells me when I'm up on this little stage, all right, I would like you to just do your monologue. I do not want you to use a prop. I do not want you to use a stool. And I do not want you to use a chair. And I'm like, okay. And I immediately saw this great stool sitting right to the side of the stage. And it was like, oh my gosh, my little creative mind, I really didn't care if he liked me or not. I didn't know who John Houseman was. I was like 16 years old. I don't know who that guy is. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I have got to use that stool because my character felt trapped in the monologue. And I felt like if I were really trapped under that stool, it would be so cool. So I got trapped under this. I brought the stool out. I climbed in. I really did get trapped, which was awesome. And then I tried to get out, and I finally did. And then I jumped on the top of the stool when I feel like I'm free. And I don't remember anything after that because I actually have a fear of heights. So I don't know if I fell off or whatever. But I totally disobeyed what he told me to do. But he could tell my little soul was just clicking along, and it had to do it. Now, if I were told not to do that in a play, I wouldn't do it. But it's my audition. No one's told me how it has to be, so it's my interpretation. I can just do what I want to do. And honestly, if I hadn't gotten into Juilliard, I would still remember how much fun it was getting stuck in that stool. And that's how you audition.
Right. We're going to get back to Julliard in just a moment, but I got to ask you a question about your poodles, Harper and Scout. Which one is that behind you? Is it Harper or is it Scout?
That is Scout, who is kind of unrecognizable to many people who know him because he's so quiet. Scout goes from 0 to 60 in 1 second, but he is really sweet, and he is actually much smaller than Harper, who is actually on the floor right down there. You just can't see him, but he's sleeping on the floor right there, and he's about 20 pounds heavier than Scout, and they are exactly a year difference in age. One is May 12th and one's May 14th. And yes, some people may know me not as an acting coach, but as Harper and Scout's mommy, because I do that. It just makes me so happy. I just, especially the way the world is so crazy right now, everybody really should have a sanity, pillow that you can hold on to.
Right.
So it lets me be goofy and silly, and sometimes you're laughing, but I slip in a very, very deep kind of saying at the end, and it's kind of like, oh, okay, wow, I didn't know we were going there. Anyway, so those are my babies. Yeah.
Yeah, Harper and Scout. I love to see
Yeah.
you playing with them at the lake on Instagram. That is, it's like I live vicariously through your fun there, because it's like I don't have poodles like this. I have one dog, but I go to the lake with you. I go to the lake and watch the dogs because you took me there with your camera.
What kind of dog do you have?
I have a dachshund. She's a part dachshund, part beagle. So she looks a
Oh,
little bit like a beagle, kind of long
oh,
like a beagle, but
she
but
talks a lot,
yeah,
I bet.
yeah, she's amazing. She's amazing. But I love
Oh,
your dogs.
thank you. Well, I'm a little, fond of them myself. I mean, I always have to have dogs. And when people come into the studio, they're behind a gate and they will bark at you when you first come through the door. But then as soon as you get out of the entry area, they'll stop barking at you. It's their little fun moment in life. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love to see you play with them. But getting back to talking about acting, Hollywood. There's a lot of like political things happening. They're trying to put a tariff on Hollywood films. So Hollywood,
sorry,
yeah.
wait a
How does
second.
that work? Yeah,
Okay, okay, that's not going to happen.
I know, I
It's
know.
not going to happen. That is not a possibility. That doesn't make any sense. We don't charge anything for bringing something in. It's like you're watching it from somewhere else. No, no, that is laughable. There's never going to be a tariff on a movie.
Yeah,
No, there's not going to be. I'm
yeah,
sorry. I'm
uh,
sorry. There's my answer to
yeah.
that.
Well, Texas is gearing up to do a lot more films now. There's a lot of actors who are
Yes,
promoting that. Do you
yes.
see the shift from Hollywood to maybe other states or Texas?
Yeah, there is a big shift in our business right now. Part of it is because of streaming. Part of it was COVID, and then we had a writer strike, and then we had an actor strike.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody was out of business for quite a long time. And then you have to gear everything back up. And streaming is different than, the old way of getting paid. Streaming is very difficult to figure out how you actually get residuals, like on
Right.
old stuff. The number of times they sold it, that's when you got paid. But streaming is just like, I'm going to watch everything and everybody's watching it all at the same time. So we don't know what that means. So they're trying to figure that out. But they are trying to go where it's cheaper. The good thing for Texas is that we do have McConaughey and Harrelson in here right now,
Mm-hmm.
and they are both very gung ho bringing stuff to Texas. So they have gone and helped to lobby with our actors lobbying group, which we do have here in Texas, to try to get. We're always lobbying to try to get tax incentives. So we give tax breaks to production companies that come, and usually they don't understand. The legislators don't understand when we come in. We take up hotels, we go
Mm-hmm.
to restaurants, we have building stuff, we're using all this stuff, we go all over, and we really bring a lot of money into the regular state stuff in your city.
Mm-hmm.
So McConaughey especially has been really good about really touting that. And we've just had a makeover of one of our studios here in Dallas that is way better. It's very high end now. You can really do everything here. You don't have to go to LA for the big, fancy, post production stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They're building a Universal in Frisco, but I'm not sure if that's really going to be a real shooting studio, because the way Universal does stuff is Universal learned a long time ago that they make a lot more money out of people riding the trams around the studio. See, the original LA Universal was a shooting studio, and then we let tourists come through. Fine.
Right.
And then they made so much money when they built Universal Studios in Florida. in Orlando, they were like, oh, well, let's make it just barely so we can get people to film. So tourists come because we're filming here. But it's really hard to film there because of the way they built it. You'd be looking down. Now, this is the last time I was there, was when it was first going, the first few years. And you'd look down New York Street, and at the end of New York Street, instead of having New York Street flat at the end of New York Street, so it's New York Street, there would be the Miami Vice boats going by and blowing up. And you're like, no, we can't film like that. You can't just put all of your best, rides, and King Kong going to be roaring, but he was really close now. Okay, now this is a funny one of my sister.
Sure.
So she was filming at the Universal Studios in Orlando. This is many, many years ago. And when we're on a soundstage, the big sound stages are huge. For people who don't know, they're huge. And so you just have a little piece of the soundstage you're using for whatever you're filming right then, and then you have other sets. And we have these big velvet blackout curtains that we use for stage and stuff too.
Right. And
so we had this big blackout curtain, and Morgan's going like, "Oh, I think my mic battery is slipping." So, okay, a little something that you guys don't know. When we're mic'd up as women and we have those tight form-fitting dresses, where are you going to put? We have a battery pack that's about the size of a little, a small cigarette box or something. You got to put it somewhere.
Right.
So we will stuff it down our pantyhose or whatever on the inside of your thigh because the dress is too tight.
Right.
So there's that. So Morgan's going like, "Cathryn, I think my battery pack has slipped down a little bit. Can you help me?" I'm going, "Sure." Well, we want to get away from the crew guys, so let's go behind the big blackout thing. And I'm like, "Pull your dress up," and I'm going to reach down your pantyhose and pull that thing back up because she couldn't see. She had so much stuff on. And all of a sudden, we both go like, "It feels like someone's watching us." One of the crew guys, looking, and then I notice like, there's a big glass window there, and all of a sudden I see a little face that's pressed up against it. And I'm going like, "Oh my God, it's the tour coming through." And they've got like a one-way, mirror kind of thing there. And it's like, they can see us, but we can't see them. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So anyway, so they're building a Universal in Frisco. So I'm suspecting it's going to be more tourist than filming, but we are getting a lot of stuff here, and there are several things filming here right now that are good, and then giving our local actors lots of good jobs. They are filming in other places. They're filming in Tennessee some now. They're filming in Kentucky. And it just depends on who gives them, the best deal on the tax incentive stuff.
Right.
But the thing we don't like is they're filming a lot of stuff in Europe right now too. And that's not so good. We don't like that because it's cheap to film over there.
Yeah.
But, and they'll take a few of us with it, but they won't pick up all the people that they would pick up locally if they were filming here in Texas,
Exactly.
So,
well, it should also be noted for the audience that may not know, you have a famous sister. Your sister is Morgan Fairchild, and that's the story that you were talking about.
Yes, I'm sorry, I just consider her my sister. So yeah. I was just saying, Morgan, but now you know one of our secret tricks, especially if you're playing glamour girls, you have to wear those tight dresses and we got to put that mic somewhere. So, yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about different places to film Texas. Vancouver, a lot of things are shot up in Canada too, right?
Yes, they were. Let me change that. Vancouver has had, that whole area is awesome. And a lot of stuff films up there. All the Hallmark stuff films up there. The Lifeline, the Sci-Fi channels, all that stuff films all up there, except this year. Even the Vancouver stuff, some of it's starting to go to Europe. So we don't like that. Now we'll figure out what to do with that. Now, and again, you can't tariff that.
Right.
It's like, oh, I'm going to pay my American actors this much money, and then we're going to cause the American actors to pay 140% of their salary to the government because it's terror. So that's not that. I mean, that's not a thing. But we are, like, Texas is bringing people in here, so that's really good. I'm very happy to see that. We have some stuff in Louisiana. Georgia was really, really big, but it's kind of backed off a little bit right now. So if you're thinking about moving to Georgia, I don't know. You might want to just see which way the wind's blowing before you go there. But Texas is doing pretty good right now.
Well, I remember back, I grew up in Mississippi, and back in the 80s, production companies hated filming anything in Mississippi because the legislature there had no clue about what it was they were doing. And they were trying to set up a scene in Jackson, Mississippi, where they were going to blow up the Capitol. And
and Mississippi got nervous about that? Why?
Oh man, yeah. They were like, no, you can't blow anything up. And we're like, they're not actually going to blow it up. They're going to make it look like a helicopter's coming in and blowing up the Capitol. And they made it so miserable for the production crew that after it was over with, they left and said, we will never film in Mississippi again. And because they didn't get it. They didn't understand it wasn't real.
That's the deal. You need cooperation and local government and stuff, letting you shut stuff down. Can we shut down Main Street for a night to film and stuff? And some places like New York is very difficult to film in because obviously they have so much traffic. You're not going to shut down their streets that often. So, but the more that you make it, like anything else in life, if I give you a good time, maybe you'll come back to visit again. So, yeah. So your city should be nice to people when they come in, no matter what they're doing.
And like you say, it brings a lot of money into the economy. You would think they would definitely want it. Plus, it's our capital got in a major motion picture, but they didn't understand it. They didn't want to go there. So tell me about Juilliard and taking your classes. How old were you when you went there?
I actually auditioned twice. I finished high school really early because I started a year early, and our mom was an English teacher at Richardson High School. And so she would teach summer school. So every year when she taught summer school, which was from like 8 to 12 every day, she'd go, girls, why don't you take an extra little class, and then we'll all be together. We'll get lunch afterwards, and we'll go do something. So we would always just take an extra little class. Okay. And so when I started my junior year, they looked at my credits and they said, oh, well, you actually have enough credits to graduate this year. I mean, it was wonderful. I needed half a credit, which I took in summer school that year. But so if the junior class, because I was taking junior classes and senior classes, if the junior class got out for something, oh, I'm a junior. And if the senior class got out for something, I'm sorry, I'm a senior. So anyway, so I was pretty young when I graduated. I think I was like 16 or something. And so I auditioned that year. And that was the very first year they had the first drama class in Juilliard. It had always been just a music school. It was the first year also that they were at Lincoln Center and in the new building. So I didn't know. I didn't care because I worked all the time. I was always working, always. And, sometimes a couple of shows at the same time. And I just loved to act, and I just did. So then the next year, my mom says, oh, and you're going to audition again. And I'm going like, okay. So that's when I got in. When I went in to see John Houseman, my first day for orientation, and they only take 20 people. So, it's a tiny, tiny little class. And I kind of learned about how I wanted to put my classes together. From being at Juilliard, you might have like movement class, you'll have 20 people in. But then you'll have some classes where you have 10 people, but most of your classes you'll have 5. So you'll divide it up into 4. And I realized I learned a lot more in a class of 5 people than I did in a bigger class. So that's what I do with my classes. My classes are teeny tiny because of that. But at any rate, when I go up to see Houseman, he goes, oh, Miss, Tex. He always called me Tex. Tex, I'm so glad to see you here. You were one of my top picks last year. And I said, well, but I didn't get in. And he said, well, you were much too young last year. And I said, yeah, but my letter you sent me just said, sorry, you're not getting in. And he said, yes. And I said, well, what if I hadn't auditioned again? And he said, well, now you wouldn't have gotten in now, would you? That's a good thing to think about when you're auditioning too. Like, you don't know why you lose a part. And just never take no to mean no. The only no that stops is the one you say to yourself, but just keep trying. But at any rate, I loved it there. It was, I just had a lot of wonderful people. I had wonderful teachers there. They have changed the program a lot since I was there, because we were basically guinea pigs, honestly. They do a lot of different stuff now than they did when I was there. And I coach people to audition for it and stuff too. And I used to help run some of the auditions. They let some of the students help run the auditions, not judge who's going to come in, but so we're in there helping with the auditions. So it kind of helps you understand like what it's like on the other side of auditioning when you're doing that. And I've done casting and stuff too, so that helps a lot too. I think an actor should do every other job. You should have to edit. You should have to direct. Right. You should have to write. You should do everything. But so I had one of my students go up there, and she went up there. She was going to go in for orientation, and she was going to go up and see. She went up early to see the building, and I said, oh my God, you're going to love it. It was like so brand new, and these special springs in the floor, and it's, oh my gosh, just tell me how you love this building. It was so shiny and new. She comes back, and I go, how did you like the building? And she said, well, Cathryn, it's so old, it was under renovation when I went up to look at it. And I went,
oh my gosh.
Oops. Okay, so I'm an old fart. All right. There it is. So,
well, also, and I usually do this at the beginning of the show so the audience gets an idea of what all you've been in. So drop some names of some TV shows you've been in, and then if you've got, what is the funniest thing that's happened to you on set?
Oh, my God. Well, okay. The very first movie I was ever in, and I'd done all theater. And remember, if you look at film and stuff, you'll see each decade it gets edgier and edgier. It's kind of like very stylized, and then it gets edgier and edgier. So this is like back in the early 70s. All right. And so I'm on my very first set, and I'm playing this gum chewing, that was my interpretation, waitress. I didn't have a big part. But I got to work with Jack Elam, who, do you remember Jack Elam? He was one of those old character actors. I know a lot of people may not know who he is, but Jack was one of those old, he was always in every cowboy movie, everything. He could make one eye go cockeyed and stuff. And he was just the sweetest, nicest guy. And so my scenes were with him. And I was doing my scene and having a lot of fun. I'm just doing my thing. And the director, a lovely man named Joey Houck, and I think we were shooting in Louisiana. And he comes over and he says, Cathryn? And I said, yes, Joey. And again, I'm pretty young still. I just probably graduated, or it was a summer off. So I was probably about 19 or 20. I was still pretty young. And he's like, yes, Joey. And he goes, just how many pieces of bubble gum do you have in your mouth right now? And I said, 5, because I'm doing my bit. And he said, could you take out all but half of one of them? And that was my first film lesson. I'm like, but Joy, I won't be able to do the bit. And he goes, I know. I'm like, oh, okay. Oops. But let me continue with that. Sure. That was a really B-grade movie. That
do you remember the name of it?
Creature from Black Lake.
Oh, I love that movie.
Okay, so you know what I'm talking about. It's a drive-in movie.
Yeah.
Okay, now I got to tell you,
I didn't know you were in it.
Yes, because I don't have a big part. I'm just like kind of when they first come to the town or whatever, and I'm their little waitress thing. Okay, so 40 years after I filmed that, I get a fan letter from a gentleman who says, I have always followed your career. And I'm like, okay, and I wanted you to know that because of one of the things that I saw you in, I did not commit suicide. And I'm like, oh my gosh, because I always tell my students, don't do it for a result. You're going to there'll be results, but you never need to see the results.
Right.
You just do it for love and let it happen. People will get what they want out of it. And I'm thinking, oh, one of my Shakespeare's, one of my classic things, because it couldn't be any of my film or TV because that was all crap. But one of my, things that I did that, like, was it Three Sisters? What was it? And he says, Creature from Black Lake.
Oh, wow.
This is where I got that idea that you must never judge. Don't ever try to figure out where or what happens. You just put it out there. And he said it was at the drive-in. And I went to the drive-in to kill myself.
Oh.
And you come on near the beginning of the film, and you made me start laughing. And then he said, you really didn't come in, but I kept thinking you were going to come back in. And I wanted to see what you were going to do when you came back in because you made me laugh. And I forgot to kill myself.
Oh, wow.
You don't know this.
Yeah.
And you know that movie. That would not be the movie you'd be thinking like, oh, that saved someone's life. That beautiful piece of art. I mean, it was a wonderful for what it was. I mean, it was a fun, swampland kind of Bigfoot kind of thing.
Right.
And it goes straight to the drive-ins probably. But we love, we make a lot of those and we love those. Those are probably the most kind of films that are made. Actually, those little fillers for, when there's like 1 week that's dark at the movie theaters, and they'll stick in a bad scary movie or something.
Yeah.
So you can always sell a scary movie. But anyway, but most of the stuff that I loved was theater. But I did work with some pretty funny, wonderful people. I worked with Sid Caesar, and Sid was a very interesting guy. Sid is brilliant comedian, but it was in his latter days, and there's a very fine line between genius and insanity. I'm just going to leave it there. But oftentimes older actors like that will have their handlers that kind of come with them to keep them from being too, or you can't just anyway. Sid had a reputation at that point because of some meds he was on. He would punch people in the face. Ooh. And so when I worked with him, it was here in Dallas. I was here because my mom was really sick, and it was after I graduated from Juilliard, and it was here. Susie Humphreys was in it. You remember Susie? She was on radio for years and years and years here, and just beloved. Anyway, and a wonderful person. So I auditioned for this thing, and it was when we auditioned it. For every woman in town auditioned for this play, and there's 3 roles because it was what's the name of the play? Anyway, it'll come to me. And so there's 3 acts, and each act is the Sid with a different woman, sort of like Plaza Suite, only But it was a Neil Simon. What's the name of the show? Last of the Red Heart Lovers. Okay, and so I auditioned for the young druggie, and she just talks nonsense nonstop. So if you want to think about memorizing lines, nonstop, nothing makes sense. It's just all, they just go all over the place. So the first day at rehearsal, and I'm telling you, every woman in town wanted to be in this show. And so we were like, okay, we got cast, yay. Sid comes in, and he says, he always looks at you like he's not really part of the world. At that stage, I think he was on, they had him on something. Anyway, he looks at us and he goes, all right, I don't like to rehearse, So all we're going to do is I'm going to sit here and you're going to say all your lines for your act all the way through, just so I know you know them without anything else. And so I went, I said all my lines, boom, all the way through. And Susie did. And this other woman is like, ah, and she runs screaming into the night. So Susie, and then we realized not everybody can work with Sid.
Right.
And so so Susie ended up doing both of those roles because they were an older person and I was very young. And so she would put a wig on and stuff and she would do 2 acts. Anyway, so I said, Mr. Caesar, would you mind terribly if I came to just rehearse one time with you so that he said, well, you can come to my hotel room. And I'm going, can I bring my mom? And he says, of course. So I show up that night to his hotel room, and he always is like, yes. I'm like, it's Cathryn? Yes. We met this afternoon. I'm doing the show with you? Yes. You said we could rehearse? Oh, okay. And so every night, and he didn't have his handlers with him, but every night, even though he never recognized me, I became his blankie. So it was one of those theaters where, you have a hydraulic stage and it's a theater in the round. You come down on the stage at the very beginning. And I was, okay, so we're up there on the stage and, those have a lot of business in it. Yeah. And he's known for all this business. So not to rehearse with someone when you need to do all this business and stuff. But I'm like, I don't care. I'll do anything. I don't care. And so we come down and he starts to do his thing. And he opens up his briefcase and he takes out a pack of cigarettes. And he's going to do one of his famous cigarette bits. And he looks at this and he puts it back down. And he turns around and he walks off the stage through the audience all the way out through the lobby doors.
Wow.
Now, I don't care because I'll do anything. So I'm out there doing all sorts of weird stuff. I have no idea what I did, but I'm sure it was just fabulously amusing. Anyway, I'm doing all my stuff and I'm wondering, is he ever coming back? And eventually, after about 5 minutes, which is a very long time on stage when you're ad-libbing and it's your opening night and you've never really worked with this person before because he won't rehearse with you. He comes sauntering back down through the audience and back up on stage with a pack of cigarettes and proceeds to, boom, use that pack of cigarettes and do his bit. And then we're off and running. And we had a wonderful time. So now we're riding up at the end of that. And he's like, they hate me. They all hate me. I said, no, Mr. Caesar, they were laughing. They love you. No, they hate me. This is the paranoia that can develop. Right. I try to train my actors. Don't be neurotic and paranoid any more than you already are. Okay? They hate me. They love you, Mr. Caesar. I'm going to get on a plane. I'm leaving tonight. I'm going to go as soon as we get off stage. I'm leaving. He said, oh, you don't want to do that. And he's like, why? And I said, because Mr. Caesar, you're here and it's really wonderful. And look, there's another act that's coming. You want me to sit with you during intermission? Yes. And so I would sit with him and talk. Mm-hmm. And but anyway, so I said, could I ask you a question? And he said, okay. I said, are you going to do that bit where you leave stage and go off into the lobby and then come back? Are you going to do that bit every night? And he said, oh, no, they just didn't have the cigarettes I like to use in my bit. So I went out into this will date it. I went out into the lobby, bummed some change, and went to the vending machine and got the cigarettes I liked for my bit and came back. And I'm like, okay. But, so you get, and I work with Mickey Rooney, who is, just nuts. Mm-hmm. And also when I worked for Mickey Rooney, I worked with Mickey for years. And it was a show that was traveling all over. And so we'd go out on the road for a while, and then we'd go for like 8 months, and then we'd come back and we'd do other things, then go out for another 3, 4, 6 months. And so the part that I did in that show should have been picked up locally. It was the easiest gig I ever had in my life. all I did was I didn't come on until the third act. So I would get to the theater, at the beginning, and then I would take a little nap during the first act. And during the second act, I would put my makeup on and get ready for the show. And the third act, I'd go out and do my thing. And it was this tiny part, but they needed a really good comedian because Mickey was nuts. And I mean that in a loving, creative way.
Right.
And you had to keep up with Mickey. And Mickey would do all sorts of stuff. And I would have, you would have to be able to go with him. Like, he liked to play golf. And in between shows, matinee and evening shows on Sundays, he wanted to go play 9 holes of golf, which you really don't have time to do. And so he would make the matinee, he wanted it to be half an hour shorter. So in order to do that, now this was a really stupid show. The name of it was 3 Goats in a Blanket. I rest my case.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that means. And it was like just one of those really stupid vehicles, that, and people, the audience was literally on the floor laughing for 3 acts.
Right.
They never stopped falling out of their chairs laughing every single night. And so he would go like, you have to do gibberish. I'm going, no, we have to say it. So if you would try to actually say your line and cross where you're supposed to, Mickey would literally say your line for you, pick you up, and move you to where you're supposed to be. So we did the show like this. We would do it all in gibberish. And the audience was on the floor because they could figure out what was going on.
Yeah.
They could figure out it was hysterical because it was so fast. And so that was Mickey. You had to do that with Mickey. And one night, Mickey's probably wouldn't be very happy to hear me tell this story, but so we're doing the show. Mm-hmm. It was the evening show on a Sunday. So he hadn't played golf. He'd gone to get Mexican food. And I wasn't on stage, but this poor woman who was really sweet, but not like, let's go, let's go, let's go. And it's kind of the part she was playing. She was like his wife in the show. She was like, what are you talking about? And he was all over the place. I don't know. Anyway, so she was there, and and an actor named David were out there. And do you know John? Did you know John Galt?
No.
Oh, he was a wonderful character actor and very, very big voiceover actor in Dallas for a long time. He's passed away a while back, but he was in the show too. Anyway, I just thought you might know. Anyway, so we're out there. I'm getting ready to make an entrance. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, I see Mickey throw open the door and run out past me like he's on fire. Wow. And his clothes are all going everywhere. And he runs back into his dressing room and slams the door. Now, what had happened was he had eaten some hardcore jalapenos and apparently had pooped in his pants on stage. And so instead of just like, let's get through this, maybe, he just ran out and just left. And he went back and took a shower. I mean, he just did his thing, la-di-da. So what happens when something goes wrong like that? You probably know this. The stage manager starts doing stuff like ringing phones and, all that stuff to give the actors something to do to, like keep things going. So David was really good at this, but the other lady was not that kind of an actor. Uh-huh. And so the stage manager rang the phone, and David goes, "Hello? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, she's here. It's for you." And Janet, who was the name of the lady, is like, "David, that's not for me." He goes, "Who's David?" Because that's his acting name. That's not the name of his character. "Who's David?" It's like, "No, it's for you. They want to talk to you." "Huh? David, what are you doing?" "Who's David? Are you okay?" And so David just had the best time messing with her head the whole time. And of course, the audience was totally on to something was wrong.
Right.
And they were but we love it. That's why we do live theater. So you can watch it the night that something goes wrong. And that's the best night to go see it because you get to tell your stories. But anyway, and eventually Mickey came back out on stage and finished the act. But, so you have those people. But anyway, none of the stuff that I did like film wise, it was, well, I mean, had a little minor part in my sister's movie, The Seduction, because she's my sister, so I had to get a part. But I did like Fantasy Island. I was a mannequin that came to life. And and that's when I learned that lesson they teach all of my actresses. The actors, I don't care. Actresses, if you have a certain look and you want to look pretty, not if you're just like young and you're natural, but if you want to look pretty, just make sure you do your own makeup on a TV series, because they get those people off of the guild list and they are not necessarily doing anything that's not the 1940s, and they do it on every single person the same. And this woman proceeded to make me look like a Cupid doll. I had these rosy cheeks and these big red lips and my hair, and I'm like, oh, thank you so much. That's so nice. I just go to my dressing room for a moment before I go on. And the DP comes out and says, okay, you're wanted on set now. And I'm like, I just had to go to the bathroom. He says, no, you're wanted on set right now. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I think that was my first TV show too. I'm going to look like a Cupid doll. I'll never work again. So the whole rest of the show, every time between scenes, I would be like fluffing my hair, taking my lips down a little bit, softening it. So you couldn't see it was a big difference, but just so I didn't look quite so much exactly like a Cupid doll when I wanted to look hot and sexy instead, but anyway, and there was an old show called Greatest American Hero. I don't know if you remember that show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I don't know, I haven't looked at my resume in so long. I really, sometimes you have to remind me, like, what did I do? I have a whole bunch of scripts here, and sometimes students will look for a scene in my scripts, and they'll go like, ooh, Cathryn, when did you do this play? And I go like, let's see what it is. Oh, I've never done that. I don't even know what that play is. And they go, well, it looks like your name's in the front of it, and it looks like your handwriting, and there's blocking all through it. I go like, well, that's my handwriting. Shoot, I must have done this show. I don't remember. So this is the curse of having a fast memory, but when I don't need it anymore, I dump it. I leave my hard drive open for new stuff, so this is gone.
I don't remember it all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's see now. You teach lessons, you teach your classes. You've won several awards: Backstage People's Choice Award, Best Acting Coach in Texas. Where would someone go to sign up for your lessons to teach acting, to learn acting?
Well, this is the most complicated question you've asked me all day.
Okay.
The reason is because someone just stole my website domain name. So if you go to my real website, which is Hartt and Soul, my name is Hartt, Hartt, Hartt and Soul. That's the name of my company. That's the name of my studio. My email address is hartandsoul@aol.com, because I'm a dinosaur, so you could go there. But right now, if you went to my website, you would go to a foreign casino gaming site. Wow. And my IT team is working on it. But I have up temporarily, and you can also go to Cathryn Hartt, which is usually plugged into my real website. But right now it's just my temporary, at least you have someplace to go. So you can go to where my name, and it's Cathryn, Cathryn Hartt. And for right now, that will plug you in. But if you just want to email me, or I'm on Instagram, I'm on, Facebook, I'm on TikTok, everything. Don't look at my X account, because that's where I do my political stuff. And if you're not on my side, you'll hate me. So, and I don't want you to, because I don't hate you. So, but so there's a lot of different ways. I'm on YouTube. I have a lot of free YouTube training videos that, I mean, like 60 or 70 free videos I just put out, because I know there's people that can't afford someone.
Right. So,
and I always want people to not feel like there's no one there for you,
right.
And so, So I'm sorry about the complication of my website. I would love to just say, ta-da, and possibly by the time we play this, it will be
It will
back.
be fixed. Well, I'll tell you
It
what
would
we'll
be
do. We
fixed.
always put the links under the show. So I'll
Okay.
put both, and then they
Okay.
can choose which one they're going
Okay.
to go to. And
Fabulous.
if they watch the show, they'll understand why there's two there.
Yeah.
Cathryn, thank you so much for being on my show. I have enjoyed this, listening to all of your stories. It's wonderful that you took the time to be on the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And Jay, you're one of the nicest, sweetest people that I had never met before. We know each other from Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
basically. And I just love you because you are one of those people that you can just tell there's just, you're a good soul. And Lordy, we want as many good souls in this world as we can possibly have. So it is my great pleasure. Thank you for asking me.
Oh, you are so welcome, so welcome. Thank you again so much. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of the J. Michael Show. We will see you next week with a new episode. You take care. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.